I just finished an incredible interview with Turning Point USA spokesperson Andrew Colvett. It's great. He answers questions that many of us have wanted answers for, and he goes into great detail. We also talk about Charlie Kirk and what President Trump is trying to do. Now, there were things that were shared during the interview. There were things shared with me after the interview, and I'll be doing a video on those later tonight. There were also things shared off the record, which I won't be able to share with you. But I've now had the opportunity in the last couple days to speak with several people high up at Turning Point USA. And this is one of the best, so I wanted to share it with you. Enjoy. Today, I am joined by Andrew Colvett from Turning Point USA. Andrew, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, honored to be with you, Stephen.
So I know that you guys are dealing with difficult times of mourning the loss of Charlie Kirk, being supportive to Erica and his family, and also still trying to keep the mission alive of Turning Point USA. So I appreciate you coming on. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions just because my audience is asking about them. And I know you can't share everything based on an open investigation. But I wanted to ask, how is Erica Kirk, how is she holding up? Because I saw a lot of outpouring in love, and now I'm seeing criticism on the internet. And I just have to imagine being a grieving widow that's in the public eye has got to be incredibly difficult. How is she holding up?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have any social media right now, and that's great. I don't think she needs to or needs to see all of that. So there's that. I think she has, effectively isolated herself from any of the positivity or negativity. And, we're sharing with her anything that is important or worthwhile. And she has a team around her right now that's doing the same. But yeah, she's holding up really well. She's an amazing person, and she's strong. She's, one of the ways that I've always described her is she's like a fierce lioness. She's so human. She's accessible. She's kind to those around her. She's thoughtful. She thinks very clearly. You can just hear that when she speaks, even off the cuff, outside of a speech that people have been exposed to now, it's just very clear. Her thinking is very clear, and obviously she's grieving, and she's going through those ups and downs, and all of us on the team, it hits us in waves, what we're living through, what we've seen, what we've been a part of. And, I think you go through bouts of being incredibly grateful for the fact that, and I know this personally, and I know that anything I'm feeling, she's feeling, tenfold, 100-fold, but you go through waves of feeling just incredibly blessed to have been a part of somebody in somebody's life and their work that it's been so impactful, and that was such a legend, and that ultimately died a martyr, and has sparked this huge move of God and this huge move of patriotism. And so you're grateful for that. You're grateful that you got to see it so up close, and you're grateful that you got to see the way that Charlie operated and the way he thought and the way he processed through problems and triumphs and peaks and valleys. I saw it up close, and Erica saw it even more up close. And so you're grateful for that, but then you go through bouts of being just devastated and a mess, and you just need to be left alone, and you just need to be alone with your thoughts and prayer. And there's no rule book, there's no guidebook on how best to do this. And so, the people that complain or criticize Erica for the way that she is, or that is not mourning, or is she too smiley? Is she not smiley? I mean, there's just, candidly, Stephen, I think that stuff's really gross, because, who are they to say the way that Erica should handle herself? I think I give her 10 out of 10 A+ marks across the board on how she's comported herself. And I think she's a great role model for all Americans, but especially, women, young women that have somebody to look up to. I think she's been phenomenal, and she's hanging in there. She's hanging in there. And I think one last thing I'd like to add is the mission that Charlie gave her and left her with. I mean, he told me personally that if anything ever happened to him, that she was going to be in charge. And so the work for all of us has been a refuge, because we know the mission has to go on. We know Charlie's vision has to go on, and we have to grow it. We have to take this opportunity and expand upon it. We have to grow it. And so we're going to do that. And that's cathartic for us. That gives us an outlet for our grief. It gives Erica an outlet for her grief, and she's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that and giving us that insight. When I went through one of the most difficult times of my own life, I read a quote, "Work will work when nothing else will work." So I totally understand just throwing yourself into something bigger than yourself and giving that away.
Well, and Stephen, we did that with the memorial service. We pulled that event off in 6 days. The team deserves all the credit in the world. I don't know how we did it. Most of us didn't sleep very much, and it should have taken months to plan that event. We did it in 6 or 7 days, and it was a triumph. And God, I feel like, blessed us and surrounded us and lifted us up, for Charlie, for the gospel to go out from the world's most powerful men and women. And it was an amazing triumph, but it was good also because it gave us something to put our shoulders to and to really invest in and accomplish on behalf of Charlie and his legacy and on behalf of the mission that he leaves us all with.
Yeah. It really was a beautiful service. Let me ask you this. I see a lot of people online accusing Turning Point of not being more transparent, not being more helpful. Maybe you're behind this. I mean, the conspiracy theories are crazy. Has the FBI asked you guys for the videos that you guys took of that day so that they can analyze everything? Have they been interviewing everybody to understand this situation? I guess people are just wondering, is the FBI giving their very best in order to find the truth and bring justice for Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, no, I go back and forth on this topic because on the one hand, I'm so close to it, so I see so much behind the scenes, and I can't always talk about everything that I see. But on the other hand, I have a lot of compassion for the audience and for the people on social media, because we've been lied to. We were lied to about COVID. We were lied to about the 2020 election in so many ways. We were lied to about a lot of things. And so it's natural to have skepticism. It's natural to not believe certain narratives. I totally get that. And, that's one of the reasons why I agreed to come on your show, Stephen, and talk about this stuff is, and so it's a good opportunity to kind of set the record straight. And I just want to say, first of all, I'm not next to kin. I'm not related to Charlie Kirk. I don't get the updates. I'm not Erica. She doesn't share everything that she's getting updated on with me. So just keep that clear. Secondly, because of the role that I have with Turning Point as its spokesman, things that I say now, could implicate the trial. It could implicate the investigation negatively. It could taint a jury pool. So I'm very, very cognizant of the things that come out of my mouth and the conversations that I engage in with all of this. And just to answer, I think you asked about the footage. Yeah, immediately all of the footage went to the FBI. So they have all of that. We're, not only are we not permitted to sort of share that footage publicly right now, I would also say it's like 4K video. We shoot in 4K at those events. And I simply think that that's a very morose, morbid thing to share with the world. My friend Charlie getting assassinated in 4K. Like, I'm sorry, I just find that to be distasteful. And the fact that people feel so entitled to have that footage, I don't share that view. I'm compassionate that they care about him and they love him and they want to fight for him. So it's like a conflicting thing inside even me. But that being said, the FBI already has it. Multiple agencies are reviewing it. They've looked at every piece of that video. I can assure you. So I don't know what to tell everybody. I get the impulse, and I actually do love that people love Charlie so much that they want to see us fighting for him. They want to see us fighting for him. And I would just say this and leave you with this. If you're out there listening to this and you want to see justice for Charlie and you want to know the truth about what happened with Charlie, I can assure you, Erica Kirk wants that more. I want that more. Everybody in the office that I'm in right now wants that more. I can assure you that we are not sleeping on anything. We're aware of all the things that you're saying. We're seeing it all, right? But I also have to be very careful, and I hope people will give me a little bit of grace in this because, there's a lot at stake here. And I will say, some of the things that I'm most interested in is there seemed to be an awareness on social media before this happened that something was going to happen. It seems like there was other people that were looped into something big was going to happen. I saw these tweets that were being shared, these messages that were being shared. So I want to know how big the network is. I want to know who knew what, when, and was anybody financing them? Who radicalized them? These are questions that I am desperate to get to the bottom of, because I think it's really important ultimately, as we see this rise of left-wing violence and justification for political assassinations rise across the country. I think it's critical we know what is fueling this, what's behind it, and who's funding it. And in this particular instance, who else knew? Because if you knew that a crime was about to be committed, one so vile and disgusting, I want to, you deserve to be punished as well. And so that's something I'm very, very interested in seeing brought to conclusion. But again, I'm told that the communication has been robust. I'm told that the investigation is being done by the best of the best. I'm told that there's full cooperation between state, local, and federal law enforcement agencies, and that no stone will be left unturned. But also, when you are building a case, I'm also aware that you got to measure twice and cut once. You don't want to just go throwing out indictments willy-nilly before you have a lockdown case, because getting those overturned could jeopardize the entire case for getting justice for Charlie. So I'm not an investigator. A lot of this is over my pay grade, but I will just say, if you think you want justice and if you think you want the truth, I can tell you that his best friends, the people closest to him that spent every day for the last 8 years interacting with Charlie, I want it more. Trust me.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed when Candace Owens said yesterday, I believe, like, why aren't Charlie's friends fighting for him? Why is it me that's out here? And I thought that's kind of an inappropriate dig. Of course, you guys are trying to get to the truth. But again, I think in the absence of information, you've got all these people saying, where's the autopsy? Was there a coroner report? How do we explain the bullet? They're reliving. I mean, I even went and walked the entire crime scene just to try to understand this better. But you mentioned something about the justification of violence and crime. I read earlier today a new report out shows that 50% of leftist ideology voters believe it's okay to use violence and killing to make life better. For example, over 50% of them believe killing Donald Trump or Elon Musk is justified because it would be better for everybody. Isn't it? How did we get here thinking this way? I just can't wrap my mind around it.
Well, we got here because we have been playing footsie and using kid gloves for a long time, pandering to a radical ideology. And I think even some on the right are guilty of, whitewashing what was actually happening right in front of our eyes and acting like it was the old Democrat Party from, the 90s or something. Well, that party's gone. It is run by Democrat, socialists, communists, and radicals. And so we have not taken proper measures to address a growing radicalism. And I think there's a media complex that exists in this country that has been supporting it and defending it and, basically playing the PR game for them. And so a lot of this was propaganda. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors. And this is why I got really intense on the Jimmy Kimmel thing, because he lied and said that the shooter was MAGA. What does that do? And by the way, he was going to double down on it until there was pushback from the affiliates and from viewers. Now, ABC can do whatever it wants. I mean, that's true. It's within reason. I mean, they are benefiting from some taxpayer subsidies and some benefits and privileges that they get from the taxpayers. So they have an obligation to do the public good, which lying about the most high-profile political assassination since the 60s in this country, I don't think is the public good. But why I got so upset about the Kimmel lie is because it was dehumanizing. It's basically sending a tacit, approval to those that would engage in political violence and telling them that this is okay because we're going to have your back. We're going to cover for you. The political machine is going to whitewash this and make it go away, or at least smooth it out and set the narrative that this was actually a conservative, when all indications point to the fact that this was not a conservative. So, that's dehumanizing. That is saying conservatives don't deserve the truth. That says that when a conservative gets murdered, that we're going to cover for you, and that's not okay. That's a huge, vile lie. That's that should come with consequences. But I've gotten to the point with the Kimmel thing where I'm glad he's back on the air, because now he's not a martyr. I think his show is going to die the way it should die, which is people are going to tune out, and he's not going to be able to claim martyr status, because let's be clear, the only martyr in this situation is Charlie Kirk. It is not Jimmy Kimmel. Okay. Jimmy Kimmel's a liar. He's an unrepentant liar. And even when he came back, he didn't, say the truth. He didn't say sorry. So all that, but this is how we got here, is because we didn't confront the lie when the lie was spoken in the first place. We didn't set the record straight when they started propagandizing the population. And in cities like Portland, we've let vigilantes known as Antifa, domestic terrorists, run roughshod over that city and other cities for far too long, and they didn't get consequences. When you look at BLM, what happened with the rioting with BLM, a lot of those rioters got settlements from their local city governments. So I mean, we've been incentivizing bad behavior. We've allowed it to metastasize over time. We've refused to call it for what it is, and that is a radical revolutionary force that wants to deconstruct. They're civilizational arsonists. They want to deconstruct the West. They want to deconstruct America and destroy it and turn it into something that it was never intended to be by our founders. And so that's how we got here. We let this happen. And so I actually asked Tom Homan on the show, on the Charlie Kirk show today, what do we do when you're confronted with this, these striking numbers that 50% of people think it's okay to kill Elon Musk or Donald Trump, or 50% plus? Well, you don't back down, because now is when the divide is so stark and the stakes are so apparent that we have to squash this, and we have to get to the root of it, and we have to find out who's funding it, and people have to be brought to justice. If you don't punish bad behavior and evil behavior and criminality, you will get more of it, and civilization will fall apart. So we must punish the evildoers.
Yeah. Well, I read this morning that Jimmy Kimmel's ratings have already dropped 70% since he was back on the air. He's not picking up key demographics. So my guess is his show will go the way of all the other late night shows. Stephen Colbert, $100 million show, losing $60 million. Disney has enough troubles. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't need to be one of them. Hey friends, it's Stephen Gardner here. And today I want to tell you about something really exciting. I've just partnered with Monetary Gold, one of the top names in physical gold and silver. Why? Because I believe now more than ever, Americans need real protection, from inflation to market volatility to politicians spending us deeper and deeper into debt. Gold has stood the test of time. It's not just an asset, it's security, it's independence, it's peace of mind. And Monetary Gold makes the process simple, direct, and secure. Here's what I want you to do. Go to StephenLovesGold.com. That's StephenLovesGold.com, and claim your free gold IRA guide, or call 800-608-1770 right now to speak with a real specialist who will answer your questions and help you get started. Don't wait. Protect your future with something real. From Turning Point's perspective, are you guys going to be a part of fighting against people like Zohran Mamdani of New York, or do you guys feel that it's better to work in areas where they're going to flip red with effort, where New York City is so deeply blue that maybe it's just not worth our time? How do you guys decide where to put effort and energy and money?
Well, a couple things. So the world that Charlie had created it was multifaceted, right? You had the C3, which was sort of apolitical. It's conservative, but it's not involved in the machinery of the RNC or a race here or what have you. And it's involved mostly on campus, working with the next generation. We have influencers, contributors that say what they will. And a lot of those people are going to keep commenting on what's going on with Zohran Mamdani and others. And then there was the Charlie Kirk show, right? the Charlie Kirk show, which I was the executive producer, still am the executive producer of that, we're still going to be commenting on these hot button topics. And there will be messaging, related to these very specific things. But then you have the C4, and that's Turning Point Action. The C4 is a political organization. It endorses candidates. It gets involved in races. We do door knocking. We have an app. We try and chase ballots and get more, pieces of paper into the box, so to speak. And so the question is, are we going to be involved in things like Zohran Mamdani? Well, yeah, from a messaging standpoint, from a sort of grassroots level, yes, of course, because Charlie was a big believer that we can't cede the big cities. We have to fight for the big cities. All of America is America, even the blue places. And the rule of law and the American way of life has to be able to be a promise to all Americans, regardless of where they live. And by the way, he believed that if we ceded a place like New York City to a Democrat socialist, actually a communist, that you never know if you can get it back, right? What kind of things are going to be put in place in that city? What kind of lawmakers, judges, district attorneys, whatever, that are going to permanently corrupt a place to make it to the point where there aren't enough legal levers you can pull to bring it back from the brink. So we believe in fighting for every square inch of this country. But when it comes to where we're going to put money and resources and dollars and bodies behind political races, yeah, we have to be a little bit more strategic, right? That's why we focused in 2024 on Pennsylvania, on Wisconsin, on Arizona and Nevada, right? And we had partners in Georgia and Pennsylvania that we were working with directly, and we had team there, but not as big as we had in Wisconsin, where we had hundreds of bodies knocking doors, or in Arizona, where we had hundreds of bodies knocking doors. Michigan 7, we had dozens of bodies. Nevada 3, we had dozens of bodies. So we have to be strategic about where we're putting those bodies, because it takes a long time to hire, it takes a long time to train, it takes a long time to deploy and get them in the field doing the thing that they should be doing. So you can't do that in all 50 states and every county, although we would love to. You have to be strategic. And so from a pure, hard, ballot chasing perspective, yeah, we're going to be strategic. But from a messaging standpoint and from the show standpoint, from a TPUSA standpoint, yeah, we're gonna comment on these bigger ideas, and we're not going to stop.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you can't fight every single border, right? Like, you've got to pick your battles. And so to me, I see a greater opportunity to flip California, make it more red, make inroads on House seats and local districts. Same thing with Arizona, getting Congressman Andy Biggs in as governor, getting Katie Hobbs out. Some of those things, they're just more feasible if you put the energy towards them than trying to flip New York. I know one of Charlie Kirk's biggest goals was to get Andy Biggs in as governor. Is that looking good? Is that something that you think will actually happen?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Schweikert, who I believe just entered the primary. But yeah, that doesn't change any of the math. I mean, Andy Biggs, Andy Biggs is a great man. He's a rock rib conservative. He is a stalwart. Charlie and Andy, great friends. And Charlie threw his whole weight behind him and promised to throw the whole weight of Turning Point Action behind him. And that does not change. We believe that Andy Biggs is the future of Arizona. We believe he's the absolute best choice to be the next governor of Arizona. And we have a vision to sort of the Floridification, if you will, of Arizona. We believe that Arizona is going to be like Florida, where in a few years we're going to be winning, super majorities in the state, and that's going to also be translated into senators and governors. And so we have every belief that that's going to happen in the state of Arizona, and it starts with Andy Biggs. So yeah, by the way, Andy Biggs, probably partly because he's an amazing guy, but also because of Charlie's endorsement, is running away in the polling from a primary perspective. And so we have every expectation he's going to win the primary handily, and that he is going to defeat Katie Hobbs in the gubernatorial election.
Okay. One of the last things that Charlie Kirk was working on is he exposed this Irina Zarutska story, where DeCarlos Brown Jr., who had been previously arrested 14 times, is allowed back on the street, ends up taking this young woman's life. Now we have this young 22-year-old down in South Carolina. Her killer has been let back on the street 39 times. 25 of those were felonies. How on earth are has America become a place where we defend criminals, that we have velvet gloves for criminals, but we don't care about their victims? I just, is this Soros putting in anti-law and order people as district attorneys? Has this been a slow build over time, and now we're just becoming conscious of the fact that we're allowing criminals to dictate the safety and not law and order? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this stuff started back in the 80s, the seeds of which were planted back then. Critical theory, right, that invaded our legal system and started with the institutions, higher education, law schools. Critical theory made its way there, and you're seeing the fruits of that. And what it really means is that the system's evil and the people are good. Well, that's not the truth. Right? If you have a biblical understanding, you believe that God, made humans good, but there was a fall and we do evil things. And so we know that the role of government, it's kind of that Romans 12 versus Romans 13. The role of government is to wield the sword and to punish evildoers. And it's our job as Christians to have forgiveness and to extend forgiveness to people that trespass against us, right? So what is happening, though, with critical theory is that we believe that the system is guilty of making criminals. So the system is good at one thing. It's punishing marginalization. It's punishing poverty, whatever it might be. So we've come to believe in greater and greater numbers, especially the progressive mindset, that the system is the villain here, and that the people that are committing these crimes and victimizing regular, everyday Americans, that they're somehow the victim in this. You saw this with the Daniel Penny situation as well, in the subway, where he, put a chokehold on a guy that was threatening people, that was threatening to kill people. And, instead of saying, thank you, Daniel Penny, what did the state of New York did? They prosecute him because, the guy died. So the point is, this Daniel Penny was a hero. He protected people's lives against a crazy person that, again, had multiple arrests, had all these felonies against him, and should have been locked up permanently or in some sort of asylum or a place that he could have gotten the help he needed. And instead of doing that, we just let these criminals out on the street again and again and again, because, again, they think it's the system. They believe the system is rigged. They believe that it's a white supremacist system. They believe that bad people are running it and they're targeting black people. Whatever the thing that they think of, that it's the system's fault. And there's another crazy stat. I mean, DC has been transformed overnight once Trump took control of the law enforcement in that city. But before that, there was this crazy clip of the Metro PD chief, and I forget his name in this moment, but he said, listen, if you want to stop the murders in DC, well, you got to lock people up and you got to keep them locked up. Because he said the average homicide suspect was when they finally did commit a murder, that was after 11 other felonies. So these people had committed 11 previous felonies before committing murder, and that was an average number. And so, you pair that with one other factoid that's really important in a city like DC, but by the way, you could extrapolate this across the nation, is that you had, for example, in DC as well, between the years 2018 through 2025, before Trump and the federal government to control the city, you had about 1,200 murders. In that time period, from 2018 to 2025, guess how many of those murders were white people? 11. Only 11 out of about 1,200. That's a shocking number. So when you say we've got to let these people out of prison because the system is evil, well, guess who is getting victimized the most when you let them out? Other black and brown people. So the system is racist. It's systemically oppressive to marginalize and people of color and all this thing. This is what they tell you. Well, guess who you're hurting? In a city like DC, you're hurting the vast majority of people that are getting killed are black and brown people that would be in their categorization marginalized, oppressed, or whatever. And so none of it makes any sense. None of it follows logic or common sense. And so what we're finally starting to do as a country is just saying we're insisting on law and order. And guess who wants more police on their streets? Guess who wants more safety in their communities? A lot of it is black and brown Americans. that are living in the urban core and that deserve the protection of the state. This is a breakdown of the social compact. If you cannot police your streets effectively, if you cannot keep people safe when they walk to and from their home or to the grocery store or whatever. And so we just need to continually confront the lies and demand that, this refrain that a lot of people have been using, we don't have to live this way. We don't have to live this way. And I mean, that's a Charlie Kirkism if there ever was. That, he said his mission in life was to confront evil and proclaim the truth. And we just have to keep doing all of that together more and more and more. And I have to believe that the lies will melt away as we confront them one by one, again, like whack-a-mole.
Yeah. If you guys haven't had Judge Joe Brown on the Charlie Kirk show, I'll make an introduction. He's great. I just recently had him on, and I asked him, is it racist for President Trump to send the National Guard into Memphis, Tennessee, where he lives? And he said, how is it racist? It's black people that want the police. It's black people that are judges, black people that are the police, black people that would be the jury, black people that run the businesses. Like it's them. They want this, so send them. He's encouraging them to be sent. I want to get you out on this. I saw this with Joy Reid. She said in an interview, before the 20th century, there were no income taxes. There were no regulations on businesses. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of that to your children with no taxes. That's the world they want back. So she's saying this white supremacy model wants to avoid taxes, keep the money that you worked hard for and give it to your children. And we can't have that. I don't understand this thinking. Like, Democrats literally ran on, we're going to raise your taxes. Yeah. And now you've got somebody complaining about a party that wants to get rid of taxes, have people have money, and then pass it on to their children. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's because she feels entitled to your money. This is the Zohran Mamdani thing. He's gonna seize the means of production. He's gonna tax whiter neighborhoods and richer neighborhoods more because they feel like they deserve the toil of your labor. They are communist. This is as simple as it is. And, Joy Reid probably believes in reparations and all of those things. And, it's that old adage, like the problem with this model is that eventually you run out of other people's money and you run out of people that produce and people that create and people that innovate. And so it's a model that is destined for destruction. It doesn't work. And their old adages, well, nobody's done it the right way. Well, this is the problem. It always becomes a coercive, enforceable ideology where if you don't want to give them the means of production, well, they're going to come seize it. And if you fight back, guess what? They're going to shoot you and they're going to kill you and they're going to take it anyways. And then it becomes a violent, bloody revolution. This is what happens. It is always this way. But these people think that they are entitled to your money. And so, yeah, I mean, the vision that she's painting, those first few lines, as I was reading along with you, I was like, yeah, let's go. My kids should inherit the fruit of my labor. Before the 20th century, there's no income taxes. Praise God. Yes, let's get that. And maybe it's not realistic in our day and age, but maybe we should keep that as the North Star. And there was no regulation on business. Oh, you mean people actually owned what they made? They were free citizens. They weren't just pawns of the state. They had free will. They had enterprise and I mean it sounds like a beautiful vision. And here she goes demeaning it. I don't know what the problem is other than you don't think that you can do it on yourself, and somebody's told you you're a victim for so long that you believe a lie. So this is the thing. It's like, Charlie once was asked in this beautiful little 8-second takedown. It was like, you don't believe in white privilege? And he's like, no, I don't. And she goes, well, why not? He goes, let me ask you, is there anything you can do that I can't do? And she's like, no, I can't. He goes, yeah, no white privilege. Yeah. People like Joy Reid don't believe that. They don't believe that. They believe that everything is rigged against them, even though Joy Reid is probably, extraordinarily wealthy and privileged and knows all the fancy people and has all the, everything is rolled out for her on a red carpet now at this point. But yet America is somehow evil and bad and you can't get ahead in it. Well, Joy Reid's life is an example of the fact that you can be a raging idiot and a vile racist and still get ahead, Joy. So, kudos to you. But yeah, I find it absurd on its face.
Yeah. According to Grok, her net worth is over $4 million in America. So interesting.
Yeah, she's really
Andrew, thank you very much for coming on. I'm going to put a direct link to your X account as well as the Charlie Kirk Show. God bless you guys. I know you're going through a lot. God bless Turning Point USA, and God bless Erica and Charlie Kirk's children. Thank you. We'll have you on again in the future. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, let me just say, thank you for that. And thank you for your prayers. And I would just tell you, it's the first time in my life where I can feel the prayers of strangers sustaining us and what we're doing at Turning Point, and Erica and so many of the team that is behind the scenes. And we're so thankful, and we feel the outpouring of support and love that we know is all for Charlie and everything that he accomplished in his mission. But, we're none of us are worthy of this calling, but all of us have to step up and do what we can. And your prayers make a huge difference. So thank you. And I don't just say that, I literally am living off of the power, the energy that I can feel. And so please keep praying for us and keep us close to your heart, because we need it. So thank you.
Oh, well, I know a lot of people in my audience love you guys and want to see you succeed. So thank you again for coming on.
Thanks, Stephen.